He tasted the sacred nectar without asking. Now she says her ancestors demand a bond. The nectar clung to his lips, still warm and pulsing with a faint bioluminescence, as if alive. Kai didn't realize what he'd done, not fully, until she stood. Until the laughter died in her eyes and her breath caught in a silence heavier than the triple suns burning above them. He looked up from the carved coral chalice, pink and glowing like molten fruit, and met her gaze. What he saw wasn't anger, it was fear, reverence, and something ancient coiled deep in her expression like a ritual remembered. "You drank it," she whispered. Kai set the chalice down too quickly. The fluid spilled over the carved table, seeping between the ridges like it was finding its way back to the earth. "I thought it was... I didn't know." The alien woman, blue-skinned and radiant like the dawn cliffs behind her, stepped back. Her silver hair, woven with glimmering beads and curled like the wild winds of this desert moon, framed her face as she turned from him. "You didn't ask," she said. "You didn't kneel. You just drank." Kai's stomach dropped. He stood shirtless beneath the rising suns, dust clinging to his sweat-soaked skin, and for the first time since crash landing 2 nights ago, he truly felt like an intruder, like a beast in a temple. "I thought it was just part of the offering," he said, his voice hoarse. "A feast, celebration of peace." She turned. Her violet eyes flickered with something heavy, grief perhaps. "That nectar isn't offered, it's earned, it's sacred, it's soul-bound." Kai's breath hitched. "What does that mean?" She stepped toward him again. The wind teased the pale drape of her ceremonial garment, which clung to her form like water, revealing the intricate patterns painted across her skin. Sigils, perhaps. Clan markings. Her bare feet barely disturbed the sand-dusted stone. "It means," she said, stopping before him, "that my ancestors now see you as my bonded mate." His heart thudded once, hard. "Mate?" "Yes. You consumed what only one other being in a lifetime may taste." Her voice quivered. "And you did so in front of the witness flame, in the Temple of the Three Suns, on the day of ancestral return. There is no ambiguity." He stepped back. "But we barely—" She didn't let him finish. Her fingers, long and tipped with faintly glowing blue nails, pressed against his chest. Not a threat, not anger, just the weight of inevitability. "I don't blame you," she said quietly. "You're human, you didn't know. But now, we are tied." Around them, the mushroom towers hummed low, responding to the shift in energy. The desert air trembled. In the distance, even the lizard drakes paused on the cliffs, their heads cocked to listen. Kai could barely hear over the blood rushing in his ears. So what happens now? The alien woman, Elari, she had called herself earlier, looked away. Her throat flexed as she swallowed. "Now, we go to the Seers, and they decide whether we are to fulfill the bond or be sundered." "Sundered?" he asked. Ilari's expression didn't change, but her voice grew distant. "It is said that when one drinks uninvited, the soul must be torn back out, or the bond completed in full." She finally met his eyes again. "And no one has survived a sundering in 5 generations." Kai turned, running both hands through his sun-bleached hair. "I didn't ask to be part of this. I didn't come here to take anything." "And yet you did," she said, her voice gentle now. "You did. And because of that, my people may never see me the same again." He clenched his fists, grounding himself in the sharp heat of the stone beneath his feet. "Then let me fix it." "You can't," she replied. "Then tell me what I can do," Kai insisted. She hesitated. Ilari stepped closer, reaching for the half-finished spiral of nectar, still pulsing softly on the altar between them. She touched it, and it responded, its glow flickering as if sensing her. "There is one way. If you go with me to the caverns of Voth, the Seers can test the bond. If they feel harmony in us, if the threads accept, you may stay. But if they sense imbalance—" He didn't flinch. "What happens if they don't?" "You die," she said. "And I'll be stripped of my title. My family will be shamed." The silence stretched. Kai looked at her. The alien beauty, the shimmering eyes now damp with the weight of generations. She stood tall, proud, divine, and yet deeply vulnerable in this moment. The weight of her people's myths draped over her more heavily than any armor. He took a breath and nodded. "Then let's go to the caverns." She blinked. "You would risk death? Just like that?" He half smiled, voice dry. "You haven't met my commanding officer. Compared to him, mystical soul-judging sounds like a vacation." Elari didn't laugh, but something softened behind her eyes. She reached for his hand. For a moment, the difference in their biology was stark, his rough and calloused from combat, hers smooth and faintly iridescent. But when they touched, the nectar residue pulsed in recognition, and the mushroom spires around them echoed with a low, resonant tone, as if the desert itself approved. "We leave at dusk," she said, fingers tightening. "There are things we must prepare, and a guardian we must awaken." Kai's brow furrowed. "Guardian?" She stepped away, already moving with ceremonial grace. If the bond is real, the creature will know. It always knows. As she vanished behind the coral rock outcropping to gather what was needed, Kai turned and looked once more at the glowing nectar mound. The moment had changed everything. He hadn't come here to steal anything, but something had been claimed all the same, not by him, by fate. They left before the second sun dipped beneath the cliffs, their shadows long against the coral pink stone. Kai's feet ached from the heat, but he didn't complain. Elari hadn't spoken much since they departed the Temple of Three Suns, only pointed silently when a path twisted through the towering mushrooms or a beast's trail needed avoiding. Kai broke the silence first. "I didn't mean to offend your people, Elari," Kai said, adjusting the satchel of water fungus slung over his shoulder. "I thought it was a ceremony, a peace ritual. We just signed the alliance draft with the envoy. There was a table, food, those fruitstone goblets. You were gone. I didn't know which cup was which." "I left to call the witness flame," Elari replied, her voice cool but even. "The nectar was not meant for you." "I know that now," Kai said, his voice low. She stopped at the edge of a ridge. Below, the land dipped into a vast chasm, flanked by glowing vines and low, spire-like trees. Elari didn't turn to him as she spoke again. "Do you know what that nectar is made from?" Elari asked. "I don't," Kai admitted, stepping closer to the edge. "It is extracted once a generation from the heart marrow of the Lathan bloom," Elari explained, her gaze fixed on the abyss. "It carries memory, spirit, ancestral light. It's used only in the bonding rite, or to pass from life into dust. Either way, it binds souls," Kai muttered under his breath. "Hell of a thing to mix into party drinks." Elari turned toward him at last. Her violet eyes narrowed slightly. "It wasn't a party," Elari said firmly. "It was a rite for my ascension. The bond was supposed to go to the one chosen by my clan." Kai's expression darkened. "You were going to bond that day?" "Yes," Elari replied. "But the chosen suitor, he never arrived. His caravan was taken by sand wraiths before sunrise." Kai ran a hand through his sun-bleached hair. "And then I drank it. Just some human idiot with no clue where he was standing." "You weren't just any human," Elari said, her voice quieting. "You were the envoy's soldier escort. You had authorization to witness the rite, but not to touch it." "I know," Kai said again, more to himself than her. A gust of wind swept up dust from the canyon. The glowing roots beneath them trembled, whispering like reeds in a storm. "Come," Elari said, gesturing downward as she stepped carefully along a narrow cliff path. "We must reach the cavern before the third sun crests. The guardian won't wait." They descended in silence, save for the crunch of pebbles and Kai's occasional grunt as he slid across uneven stone. When the path leveled out into a smooth, pink-glowing floor, Kai let out a slow breath. "Is this it?" Kai asked, glancing around the immense hollow. "We are beneath the spire of Voth," Elari answered. "This is the ancestral chamber." The cave ceiling soared high above, embedded with phosphorescent mineral veins. At the far end stood a pool, circular, still, and glowing from within. It shimmered with the same pink-orange hue as the nectar from the ritual table. Kai took a step forward, but Ilari caught his arm. "No closer yet," Ilari said, holding him firmly in place. Kai raised his brow. "Why not?" Her voice was low. "Because it hasn't judged you yet." Kai frowned. "Judged me?" Ilari walked slowly toward the water's edge and began to speak in her native tongue, words that drifted like ancient wind across the cavern. The pool began to ripple, then bubble. Kai instinctively stepped back. "That's not normal." Ilari remained perfectly still. "The Guardian awakens. If it senses a lie between us, it will strike." Kai stared at the shimmering liquid. "Lie? What kind of lie?" "That you feel nothing," Ilari answered. "That the bond was one-sided." Kai swallowed and looked down. "Ilari, I didn't come here looking for anything. I was trying to stay alive. I've been transferred 3 times, fought in 3 different wars, and lost half my unit last month. You think I was ready for love?" Ilari's voice stayed calm, but her eyes searched him. "And yet something in you drank. Why?" Kai didn't look away. "I don't know. I just felt it. Like something ancient inside me woke up the moment I touched that chalice. I didn't think. I didn't understand. But I was drawn to it, drawn to you, like I'd crossed half a galaxy just to make that mistake." Ilari didn't speak. The pool shimmered. And then from the surface, a shape rose. It was not a creature of teeth and claws, but of form and light, an enormous flowing serpent made of transparent jelly and glowing veins. Its head hovered just above the surface, eyes like twin suns. It turned toward Ilari first, then to Kai. Kai tensed. "It's beautiful and terrifying." Ilari stepped forward and lifted her chin. "Great witness of the threads," Ilari said aloud, her voice echoing through the chamber. "We come seeking judgment. One soul touched what was not his. Now we ask, do the threads weave him to me, or must they be torn?" The serpent's eyes narrowed. Then it dipped low and released a pulse of glowing mist that wrapped around Kai's chest. He flinched, but didn't back away. Kai gritted his teeth. "Is it supposed to feel like it's rearranging my rib cage?" Ilari's expression didn't change. "It's reading you. Memory, intent, desire." Kai blinked rapidly as flashes surged in his mind. Battlefields, grief, laughter from old barracks, the quiet ache of loneliness. And then, her. Ilari in the sunlit temple. Ilari in silence. Ilari watching him with a kind of distant mourning. And finally, the moment he lifted the chalice, the heartbeat that wasn't just his. The mist faded. The Guardian lifted its head and spoke, not in words, but in light. A halo shimmered between them. "It has judged," Ilari said softly. Kai exhaled, bracing himself. "And?" "The bond is accepted," Ilari replied. Kai let out a breath. "That's good, right?" "It means we live," Ilari said. Kai frowned. "But?" Ilari stepped closer. "It means we're soul-bound." Kai's eyes widened. "Like forever." "Until dust," Ilari said gently. Kai stared at the halo now glowing above his heart. "Well, that escalated fast." "You're very human," Ilari said, allowing the ghost of a smile. Kai met her gaze. "And you're not like anyone I've ever met." The Guardian coiled once, then slowly sank back beneath the surface of the pool. Ilari turned, her voice suddenly urgent. "We must leave before the Seers arrive. They may not see this as a blessing." Kai's jaw tensed. "You mean they'll still come after us?" "I am no longer promised to the clan's suitor," Ilari said. "I am bonded to a foreigner. That breaks a dozen laws." Kai asked, "So we run?" "We walk until they stop us," Ilari said. "Together." Kai looked down at her hand, now extended. He took it without hesitation. They walked for hours beneath the rising moons, their bodies casting twin shadows across the canyon floor. Kai said nothing at first. Neither did Ilari. The silence between them had weight, not emptiness, like the hum of something ancient straining to be understood. At last, when the land flattened and the canyon mouth opened into a field of wind-shaped stone, Kai broke the quiet. "So," Kai said, his voice low, What does it mean to be soul-bound on your world? I'm guessing it's not just a symbolic thing. Hilary didn't look at him, but she answered. It is not symbolic, Hilary said. It is spiritual, physical, generational. The bond shapes memory, touch, emotion. You will feel me when I'm not near, and I will carry your thoughts like echoes behind my eyes. Kai stopped walking. Wait, Kai said slowly. You're saying I'm going to feel what you feel? Hear your thoughts? Only what rises, Hilary said. Only what's unguarded. When the bond is new, those threads are raw. They tighten when your heart opens, when mine does. Kai gave a half laugh and rubbed his temple. That explains the headache I got when you went silent earlier. I wasn't silent, Hilary said softly. I was grieving. Kai's smile vanished. He looked over at her, really looked. The wind caught the trailing silver of her braid, and for the first time he noticed the wear in her eyes. Not tiredness, sorrow. You lost your whole future that day, Kai said. Didn't you? Hilary met his gaze without flinching. I lost the version of it I was told I must accept. Kai's brow creased. Were you in love with him? The one you were supposed to bond? No, Hilary said quietly. He was kind, respectful, but our bond would have been for political peace, not for truth. Kai gave a dry chuckle. So instead you're stuck with a soldier who accidentally drank your sacred juice. You are not stuck, Hilary said firmly. You are chosen, by the bond, by something older than my clan, perhaps older than your stars. Kai looked away. I don't know how to be someone worth that kind of meaning. You already are, Hilary said. Kai turned back to her. You don't even know me. I know you ran into fire for a wounded scout when no one else did, Hilary replied. I know you haven't written home in months because there's no one left to write to. I know you hide guilt beneath sarcasm, and I know... She paused, as if catching something just out of reach. I know you're terrified of being needed. Kai didn't answer right away. Then he whispered, What else do you know? Hilary stepped closer. That you felt alone, even before you landed on my world, Hilary said gently. And that you didn't mean to take the nectar. But something in you wanted to belong so badly, your soul reached out before your hand did. Kai's voice caught. You feel all of that? I don't feel it, Hilary said. I carry it. He closed his eyes. Then this bond. It's not just connection, it's weight. Yes, Hilary said, but it's not yours to carry alone anymore. Kai opened his eyes slowly. Back in the temple, when I drank it, I saw flashes. Not memories, more like feelings, a warmth in the chest, a pressure in the throat. Was that you? Hilary nodded. The first sharing. It happens in the moment of uninvited bonding. Some say it's the ancestors' way of warning us, or blessing us. Kai gave a slow nod. Guess I'm not used to being blessed. You will be, Hilary said, if we survive what comes next. Kai gave a humorless smile. You keep saying that like we've got assassins on our trail. Hilary's expression darkened. The Seers do not always wait for counsel. If they believe a bond was forged outside ancestral will, they may intervene. Meaning they'll come after us, Kai said. Yes, Hilary confirmed. To sever the bond. Kai's jaw clenched. You said that no one survives a sundering. No one in 5 generations, Hilary said. Then we fight, Kai said. Hilary tilted her head. You're a soldier. You speak as though battle is the answer to all pain. It's not, Kai said, but it's what I know, and I'm not letting anyone tear this out of me now that it's here. Hilary's voice was quieter. Even if it breaks you? Kai looked at her for a long time. I've been broken before. This feels like something I want to fight for. Hilary stepped forward, her hand resting lightly on his bare chest. Then you must know what I feel now. Kai swallowed. Tell me. She didn't speak, but he felt it, like a heat blooming under his ribs, not painful, but full, a pulse of hope, of longing, and something softer beneath it, tentative and unformed. You trust me, Kai said, his voice nearly a whisper. Hilary nodded. I do. Then, in the stillness between them, something shifted in the air. The ground beneath their feet trembled, not from a quake, but from a presence approaching. "They found us," Elari said, voice tightening. Kai turned toward the ridge behind them. "How many?" "I don't know," Elari said, "but they come with judgment." Kai squared his shoulders, eyes on the rising slope. "Then let them come." But when the silhouettes emerged through the dust, there was no battle, no attack, only robes, flowing, pale, and stiff with ceremonial thread. The Seers had come not as hunters, but as law. "We follow," Elari said quietly. "There is no point in fleeing what already knows where you are." Kai nodded, jaw set. He didn't need to ask where they were going. He could feel it, like a thread pulling beneath his sternum. The bond wanted resolution, and it would not wait. By the time they reached the base of the Araleth spire, the suns had begun to fall. The monolith towered above them like the blade of a forgotten god, veined with gold and humming with a pulse older than war. As Kai and Elari stepped into its shadow, he felt the temperature drop, not just in air, but in meaning. Everything about the place whispered of law, of finality. "They'll be watching," Elari said, slowing her pace as they approached the base of the monolith. Kai kept his voice steady. "How many of them?" 7 Seers, Elari answered. 6 to question, 1 to judge. Kai's brow furrowed. "And you're sure they'll listen?" "They will listen," Elari said, "but they may not accept." From within the spire, a harmonic chime rang out, like wind through crystal. The gates opened, not with ceremony, but with the cold precision of duty. The chamber inside was vast and circular, its walls layered with murals of glowing script and living vines that moved slowly across the stone. Waiting at the center stood 7 figures in robes of woven moss and sand-etched thread. Their eyes were white with ceremony, their presence heavy. Kai stepped beside Elari, chin lifted, spine straight. He had faced military tribunals before, but nothing like this. This was not judgment by logic. This was judgment by memory and myth. One of the Seers stepped forward. Her voice echoed, though her lips barely moved. "You bring the outsider," the Seer said. "I bring the bonded," Elari replied, firm and clear. "He bears the halo. He stood before the Guardian and was accepted." "He was not chosen by the clan," the Seer countered. "He bears no lineage, no ancestral calling, and he drank the sacred nectar unbidden." "I know," Elari said, "but the bond formed regardless." The lead Seer turned her eyes to Kai. "And what do you claim, human, that you were called by destiny?" Kai's voice didn't waver. "I don't know about destiny. I just know that when I drank that nectar, something inside me changed. I can feel her now, not just in my thoughts, deeper, like we're woven into the same thread." A second Seer spoke. "You admit your ignorance, yet you speak of sacred union as if you understand its cost." "I don't understand everything," Kai said, "but I know I didn't do it for power or out of disrespect. I drank because I felt something real, and I'd give anything not to undo it." The circle of Seers grew quiet. Elari stepped forward. "I stand with him. I accept the bond. I accept the consequences." A third Seer's voice was more clipped. "Even exile?" Elari answered without pause. "Yes." The lead Seer tilted her head. "Would you cast away your lineage for this man?" "I would honor it by following the truth," Elari said, "and the truth is, this bond lives." A gust of energy swept through the chamber. The vines on the walls recoiled. The halo on Kai's chest shimmered, pulsing once, twice, then held steady. The judge stepped forward at last. Unlike the others, this Seer was silent. Her eyes, still white with ritual, narrowed slightly as she raised a small bowl from beneath her robes. Elari inhaled sharply. "The soul weighing." Kai looked at her. "What is that?" "It measures what cannot be spoken," Elari said. "If you are unworthy, the bowl will crack. If the bond is unclean, we both bleed." Kai squared his shoulders. "Then give it to me." But the Seer didn't hand him the bowl. She simply tilted it toward him, and it drank from the air, pulling threads of light from his skin, his breath, his chest. A pale aura floated upward into the curved basin. Kai felt cold, like something was being pulled from bone. The seer turned the bowl toward Eilari. Her aura flowed more easily, softer, like silk drawn from flame. The bowl swirled with both their lights, human grit and alien grace, until the colors met. The seer studied the swirl. Then the bowl shook. A crack formed along the rim. Kai's heart stopped. "What does that mean?" one of the seers hissed. "The bond is imbalanced." Eilari stepped forward. "Let me offer blood to mend it." "No," the lead seer said. "The outsider must bear it. His soul, his fracture." Kai stepped up to the bowl. "What do I do?" Kai asked. "Touch it," Eilari said, "if you are willing to carry its pain." Without hesitating, Kai pressed both hands to the bowl. It burned. Visions surged through him, a child crying behind metal walls, a woman in silver robes turning away, a soldier laughing in a rainstorm before vanishing in fire. His mother's voice, fractured by time, and Eilari, her hand reaching, her voice calling through the dark. Kai gritted his teeth. "I won't let it break." The bowl glowed white-hot, and then the crack sealed. The seer lowered the bowl and stepped back. The judge finally spoke. "The bond is real," she said, "and now it is acknowledged." Eilari let out a trembling breath. Kai turned to her. "Was that it?" "No," Eilari said softly. "Now we live with what comes next." Another seer stepped forward, tone harder. "You are not free," Kai asked. "Then what are we?" "Marked," the seer replied, "forever." They walked out of the spire in silence. No one stopped them. No guards barred the way. No seer raised a hand. But the absence of resistance wasn't mercy. It was sentence. Eilari understood that. So did Kai. The sun was lower now, casting long shadows across the pale dunes. The second sun had begun to rise, washing the sky in amber and blue, a quiet storm of light above their heads as they crossed the threshold of their old lives. Behind them, the gates of Araleth closed with finality. Kai looked at her as they reached the ridge. "So, we're outlaws now." Eilari kept her eyes on the horizon. "Exiles." "Same difference," Kai said, rubbing the back of his neck. "They didn't even look angry, just done with us." "They see us as broken threads," Eilari replied. "A tangle in the ancestral weave, easier to cut than to unpick." Kai looked down at the dust shifting beneath his boots. "And what does that mean for you?" Eilari hesitated. "No more council seat, no home tree. My name will not be spoken during moon blessing. I will be forgotten, officially." Kai turned to her. "But not really, not by those who knew you." Eilari finally looked at him. "Not by me, and not by you." He nodded. "Never." They crested the ridge and paused. Below them, the desert stretched like a silver sea, no roads, no signs, just rippling dunes and glowing stalks rising from the sand like lanterns. Somewhere out there were the caverns of shelter, water roots, maybe even refuge. Eilari took a slow breath. "This is the part the stories never tell." Kai raised a brow. "Which part?" "The after," Eilari said. "The part after the bond is tested, after the judgment, when you're left with nothing but each other." Kai gave a dry laugh. "Sounds like the part that matters most." A breeze kicked up around them, carrying heat and dust and the scent of distant blooms. He stepped closer to her, and when she didn't pull away, he gently took her hand. "I don't regret drinking it," Kai said. "Even if I didn't know what it meant, even if it cost us everything." "I don't regret you," Eilari replied, her voice soft, "even if the stars marked someone else for me once." They stood there a while, twin shadows stretched beside them, two strangers who had been pulled into the same myth and told to find meaning in it. Kai finally asked, "What now?" Eilari squeezed his hand. "Now, we build." "Out here?" Kai asked. "In exile?" "In truth," Eilari said, "without expectation, without false rites or quiet resentment, just us, the bond, and whatever life comes from it." Kai exhaled slowly. "You think it'll be enough?" She tilted her head, smiling faintly. "I think it might be everything." The moment settled between them like a promise, Hilari's fingers brushed against the edge of his palm, and he felt it again. Not a voice, not a thought. Just warmth, presence, a flicker of her spirit pressing gently against his. They turned and descended the other side of the ridge, no destination, no map, but together. As they vanished into the wild, the halo over Kai's chest pulsed once, casting a final shimmer behind them like a footprint made of light. Above them the twin suns burned, two flames across the heavens, watching a bond that should never have formed endure.